Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gannon, alongside my partner, Jack McNicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you haven't had a chance, go check out our website at justsayingfootball.com and follow us on Instagram at justsayingwjs for article and video updates. Week 5 continues, man, on Sunday, not at 1 p.m., but at 9:30 in the morning. We get some very early football this Sunday, and I am ecstatic about it. Yeah. We're heading across the pond, going to London, where the New York Jets are taking on the Atlanta Falcons. A little bit of injury news before we jump into this one. Russell Gage and Calvin Ridley, both injured, both did not travel with the team and will not be playing for the Falcons this weekend. Jack, what are your thoughts on everything?
Yeah, it's a those injuries definitely kind of favor New York in the sense that, the Jets defense is starting to figure it out. They have had some close games the last couple of weeks, and now I'm looking, at this as a winnable matchup for them. But what I like about Atlanta is obviously we got to talk about Cordero Patterson. Last week, 11 total touches, and 3 touchdowns. Former Viking. Very excited to see what he's going to do in this one with, all the receiving guys out. And Kyle Pitts as well. I'm a guy that, we mentioned a lot. Sean was saying before the show, the fact is he's going to get targeted this week.
Yeah, I mean, he's now going to kind of step into that role. We saw the athleticism and the speed that he's had throughout the year, throughout his time in Florida and the combine and everything like that. I expect them to kind of maybe bump him out from that tight end position, use him a lot more in the wide receiver area. I think he's going to be seeing a lot of targets. I think we're going to see a lot of Mike Davis running. I think we're going to see a lot of Cordell Patterson rushing and receiving yards coming in this one. They're going to really have to open up this playbook this weekend with all of the weapons being down. All of that being said, I'm going to go with the Jets. The injuries right now to the Falcons and the way that they've been playing defensively has not been great. The Jets defensively has played well under Saleh. I think that coming off of a big win against the Titans, that everyone just assumed that the Titans just go in and run all over them and get an easy win despite the injuries, and they didn't let that happen. They were down there starting 2 wide receivers last week. They got another team down there starting 2 wide receivers this week. I think the Jets are going to surprise, and they're going to get their second win of the season this early on, and they're coming off that big win. You carry that momentum into this game. That's exactly what you want.
Yeah, and the Falcons right now, are the worst defense in the league right now when it comes to scoring. They're allowing over 25 a game. So right now it's not looking too good for the Falcons, especially with these injuries. Matt Ryan, he could struggle against this defense, But yeah, I'm going to go with the Jets as well in this one. Big shocker, big sweep Jets, first Jets sweep pick in a while.
I know. We haven't picked them yet. All right, moving on. 1:00 games now. We got the Detroit Lions heading to Minnesota, taking on my Vikings. Jack, thoughts?
I love this one for you guys. This is a winnable matchup. We've seen Detroit play some close games, but they have not been able to get that first win. I don't think that they get it this week in Minnesota. It's a tough place to play. But I think, what happened last week with the Vikings, it was an interesting game, low scoring game. I think that they've, figured out how to get this offense going when they need to.
Absolutely.
And, I love the, matchup here for Jefferson, Adam Thielen, even Conklin. This defensive front in Detroit is really the big issue, but their secondary is banged up. And I think your boys are going to go crazy this week at home.
Yeah, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of Justin Jefferson, a lot of Adam Thielen. Hopefully, Dalvin Cook is going to be in this game. Both Dalvin Cook and DeAndre Swift are questionable. It looks things are trending in the direction that they're both going to play, which is good for both teams. All this being said, I'm definitely locking in the Vikings. The one team that Kirk Cousins has been able to beat since joining the Vikings is the Lions. He's 6-0 against them. I don't see that changing this week. They don't really have the offensive weapons. They don't have that true wide receiver one. I think our defense played well against the Browns, who slowly are been improving week in and week out. I think that we have everything on paper to go out and win this game, and there's really no excuse why we shouldn't.
Yeah, no, very simple. I think we both got the Vikings on this one at home. Very simple matchup. But what do you think about this next matchup? The Washington football team is hosting the New Orleans Saints, coming off that loss from the Giants. You gotta love that. But the thing is this the week where Washington's going to be able to figure it out? Is New Orleans a beatable team for them?
The one thing that I will say about Washington, despite Heineke, he's not a young quarterback. He's 29, 30 years old. People think he's only like a rookie or second year player. No, he's been in the league for a while. Yeah. But what I like about him is he's not afraid to take shots downfield. Even if there's double coverage, he throws the ball downfield and says, I'm going to let my guy go and get it. And his guy is Terry, and him and Terry have been clicking. I like this team. They put up 34 points last week against the Falcons. And yes, the Falcons are a really, really easy team, but that's what you should be able to do. If they're an easy beatable team, you should be able to run up the score on them and put up 34 points. The thing that I'd be most worried about is how is the Washington defense going to handle Sean Payton and what he brings to the table when it comes to scheming. His defense let up 30 points last week. All right. To the Falcons. That's a lot of points. And the Saints are a much better team than the Falcons right now. So I think it's really going to come down to Terry and Gibson and this offense kind of getting the ball going and setting the tone offensively against the Saints.
Yeah, and Terry McLaurin, got to give him a shout out. He's been killing it this year. 25 catches, 354 yards, and 3 touchdowns in 4 games. It's very impressive to see what he's able to do, no matter who the quarterback is. But like you mentioned, Heineke, he's a mental vet. I think that this is a good week for them. The big thing I want to mention too is Washington's defense, which was a staggering defense last year, a playoff defense, is now the 29th worst defense when it comes to allowing points. So I think New Orleans is going to be interesting. Last week, this was the first time that, last week in his career that Alvin Kamara was not targeted. I think that absolutely changes this week. They're going to have to get him going. They're going to have to get Jameis comfortable. But I do like Washington at home in this one. I think this is where their defense gets it right. I think that they're able to, they're going to be at this point in the season where they can make adjustments. I am going to go Washington at home on this one.
I'm going to go with you. I like Washington. I think that their defense and their offense a little bit more balanced and they can get the win against the Saints. But moving on, New England Patriots going to Houston, taking on the Texans. Mac Jones looked really good last week against the Bucs. He had 19 straight completed passes. He actually put up 2 more touchdowns than Tom Brady did because Tom Brady didn't throw any, but he did have that 1 interception. But against Tom Brady in one of the biggest games of his rookie season, might have even been the biggest game of his career, possibly. He showed up and showed out, and I love that. I'm blocking the Patriots on this one. I think we're going to see a lot of passing, a lot of running. This is a very beatable Texans team. The scheme that Bill Belichick puts up against rookie quarterbacks is always fantastic. We saw it against Zach Wilson just 2 weeks ago. Now he gets Davis Mills, who's still growing into his role as a full-time starter, as a developmental quarterback pick. So got to lock in the Patriots with their scheme ability already.
Definitely. And the Patriots, this defense is going to be, a real issue, I think, for this Texans offense. I think the same on both sides. New England's just favorable. Houston is not able to really figure it out. We saw them, like you said, kind of going toe-to-toe with the champs, with the Bucs last week. You got to go with New England on this one. Very, very straightforward. I think that the tight end matchup, we were talking about it before the show. Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith, definitely huge starts this week. Texans are, giving up so many points to the tight end. And, now with Gilmore being traded as well from the Patriots this week, we expected him to come back. He won't be back. But this defense is still looking great. I'm going with them.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do want to say, though, about the Texans really quick, a bright spot for them and could be a potential trade candidate if he wants to get out of there, is Brandon Cooks. 28 receptions, 369 yards, and a touchdown. Despite all the quarterback turnover there and despite the not great roster that they have, he has been putting up numbers, and you just got to give credit where credit is due. Moving on, the Miami Dolphins are heading out to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. What are your thoughts?
I mean, Miami, they're a team that in the beginning of the season we really, really wanted to like, and it seems like, with injuries, everything like that, we haven't been able to see the same team that we really want right now. They have been really struggling. They're ranked 30th when it comes, in passing yards. They're 28th when it comes to rushing yards. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, is, one of the better run defenses in the league. And I think that they start off by, taking out this run game with Myles Gaskin, Salvon Ahmed, and then just, going in on offense. I think that Miami's defense is not going to be able to keep up with Tampa's offense at all. Tom Brady, like you mentioned, didn't have a touchdown last week. Definitely familiar with the Dolphins as well.
No, yeah, and Brian Flores, Jacoby Brissett, a lot of Patriots guys over on that team. I got to go with the Buccaneers on this one. I absolutely agree. I don't think that their offense is going to be able to move the ball efficiently or often enough to put up points against Tampa Bay. And that Tampa Bay, while they have Xavier Howard and Byron Jones, the Dolphins, I think that Tampa Bay's offensive weapons, they're too overpowered for this team, and that offense of the Dolphins won't be able to keep up anyway. Yeah. So Got to go with
And
Tampa Bay.
yeah, absolutely. And Tampa Bay right now, the one thing that Miami could expose, is the fact that they're last place in passing offensive yards allowed, and Anton
Devontae
Winfield's not
Parker,
there anymore.
Mike
Devontae
Gesicki.
Parker, Mike Gesicki, and Jalen Waddle could be options because it's going to be a big passing game for Miami this week.
They have to
But
be.
but this next matchup, this could be the most interesting matchup of the week. You got 2 3-1 teams coming in here. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, well, we got the Green Bay Packers heading over to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, man. It's an interesting one. We got the future of the quarterbacks in Joe Burrow facing one of the greatest of all times in Aaron Rodgers. And the Packers, they're firing on all cylinders right now, man. I mean, Aaron Jones is getting it done, Aaron Rodgers is getting it done, Devontae Adams is getting it done. On the flip, so are the Bengals, though. Entire offense is working. Joe Mixon is looking like he might start in some capacity, according to Zach Taylor. So maybe expect to see a little bit more Samaje Perine than we're used to seeing normally. But Jamar Chase is already looking like an early offensive rookie of the year candidate. 17 receptions, 297 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He's been absolutely killing it. That's the perks of having Joe Burrow, your college quarterback, man.
It's true. It's true. I mean, the crazy thing too is, this is expected to be a very high scoring game, 50-point over under. I am looking a lot, like you mentioned, just at Jamar Chase. Him, Devontae Adams, it's going to be a crazy receiver matchup. I'm expecting some big plays in this one, whether it's going to be, Tyler Boyd for the Bengals or, Aaron Jones on the Packers. There's going to be a lot of offense in this one. But I got to give a shout out to Cincinnati's defense right now. They're a top 10 defense. When it comes to points allowed, they're not even allowing over 20 points a game right now, and they're in a tough race. They're 3-1 in a division where they got to compete with a 3-1 Ravens team, a 3-1 Browns team, and they could make a real statement in this one. The thing I am looking at is it's really tough because the Bengals are at home here, and I've seen enough from them, and they've had the long week where I'm actually confident in them in this game against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, me too. There's something about this week and the Bengals that I like. I was thinking that as you were talking. I'm gonna go with the Bengals. I think that there's been no Zadarius Smith right now for the Packers, and that's been killing them at their ability to get after the quarterback. I think when they played the 49ers last week, that's Aaron Rodgers still being a little bit pissed off that he didn't get picked by them, so you're always going to have that little extra oomph. But I like the way the Bengals are playing. I mean, their defense is top 10 all major categories outside of that in terms of rushing yards allowed, passing yards allowed, and total yards allowed.
Yeah.
No one's really talking about them as a defensive unit, but they're playing well. And then when you pair that with that stellar offense that they have, it just that's how you win games. That's why they're 3-1 in one of the hardest divisions in football right now.
Yeah, and Samaje Perine, I expect him to actually have a pretty good game in this one. I'm looking at the fact that they have been giving Joe Mixon more volume than anybody in the league outside of Derrick Henry right now, and I'm expecting if they are able to use this passing offense with Joe Burrow, they'll be able to get it done. But let's move on to the next one. We got Denver Broncos going to Pittsburgh Steelers. What about that one for you?
Gotta love that one. I don't love this offense for the Steelers, man. Big Ben looks old. He just doesn't have it anymore. It's looking like. I love Harris. Harris even came out this week and said, everyone was talking about Bama and we lost 2 games and look at us. And there's some truth to what he says. Yes, there's always could be a turnaround, but that's college.
Yeah.
This is the pros. This is the best of the best. This is not, it's very hard to make a turnaround at 1-3. And that goes the same for the Vikings. It goes the same for the Jets. It goes the same for the Patriots. It's hard to make that turnaround at 1-3. And when your quarterback is not effectively moving the ball downfield and passing the ball downfield in the run game that has been okay at times, but not good at others, isn't consistent enough because an offensive line has so many holes, it's going to be really hard to win games despite the stellar defense that they have and bring to the table. All of that being said, they're playing the Broncos. Teddy Bridgewater is looking like he might start coming out of the concussion protocol. And if he does start, I'm locking in the Broncos. But if it's Drew Lock that starts, I'm going to go with the Steelers. Drew Lock just does not look comfortable in that team. There's a lot of picks. Doesn't move the ball well at all. Teddy Bridgewater is definitely the glue of that offense that gets them going. So Teddy Bridgewater going with the Broncos. No Teddy Bridgewater. I have to give it to the Steelers. I think they can just rattle Drew Lock enough.
Yeah, and even with TJ Watt expected to also still be out right now, it's enough for them to go after And, when Teddy plays, it's so clean. Despite the fact that he's lost Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler, he's been playing very clean football. And he's been able to operate this offense exactly as they're asking him to. Drew Lock, like you mentioned, he makes too many mistakes. But I do think this is a get-right game for Pittsburgh. We just mentioned the tightness of the AFC North. With everyone being 3-1, the Steelers being 1-3, this is a must-win game for the Steelers and Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
I'm expecting, I want to see Juju, Claypool, and Deontay Johnson being involved. I feel like Deontay Johnson has become the top target for Ben now, but we aren't seeing enough involvement from the rest of the team. But I do like Denver in this one, honestly, because I think that what they're doing with their run game, as well as, doing with their defense, the second best scoring defense in the league right now, I'm liking that a lot. I love what they're doing in their, pass defense game. I love how Vic Fangio has, this scheme is rolled out. And like I mentioned, the run game here is so important because, we have two running backs that are exactly splitting 50-50 in snaps, and they're both being productive. They're being able to take these easy matchups and go get them. I think they do the same thing with the Steelers this week.
Yeah, you gotta love that. Moving on. Got the Philadelphia Eagles heading over to Carolina to take on the Panthers. Now, Carolina just made the trade for Stephon Gilmore, giving up a 6th-round pick. Lane Johnson going to be out due to personal reasons on Sunday. That is a huge loss to this team that really needed some protection for their quarterback, considering they're going up against this really young, fast-paced defense of the Panthers.
Yeah, it's a different matchup for the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Last week they were just defeated by the offense of Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes throwing 5 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill was unstoppable last week against this defense. There's nothing you can do when he's playing like that. But I do like. I gotta say, I say it every week, but I love what Carolina is doing. They just have such a good team. You're like, you want to root for these guys. They're young. They're so hungry. Sam Darnold is out to prove himself this year. He's trying to score anyway. He's leading the league right now with 5 rushing touchdowns. The thing is, too, I think this is a close one, though. I don't think this is a blowout at all. I think that Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, what we've seen from Gainwell and Sanders out of the backfield, I am liking Philly a lot more. But I am going to go with the Panthers on this one. I love what DJ Moore is doing right now with Sam Darnold. He's looking unstoppable.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going to go with the Panthers in this one. All the weapons that they have offensively, this is another really tough matchup for the Eagles. They're going against the Chiefs and they have to face DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and no CMC actually. He tested it out yesterday, Friday during practice. Thought that he would be good to go. Just didn't really have it. Chuba Hubbard's going to get the start, but Chuba Hubbard's been able to be serviceable in his absence. Maybe a little bit more, even better this week. The Eagles are ranked last in the running game. They're giving about 150 yards a game. So it's gonna be a huge Hubbard run game. Could maybe hit it first ever 100+ yard game of his rookie season in his very, very young career. Gotta lock in the Panthers. If you're an Eagles fan though, you gotta love how Jalen Hurts has been playing so far this season. 66.2% completion, 1,167 yards with a 7-2 touchdown to interception ratio. That's fantastic. Then you add in another 226 yards on the ground with the touchdown. He's really doing it all. He's not turning the ball over frequently. He just needs a little bit more help. I think you give him a true wide receiver one, you get Miles Sanders a little bit more involved, you solidify that defense, and the Eagles are right back to being a contender in the AFC East and a contender possibly in the NFC. That's what I think. But moving
absolutely.
on.
No, I agree. I just want to say I agree.
No, thank you. We have Derrick Henry and the Tennessee Titans taking on his favorite team, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Derrick Henry always gets a 90-yard plus touchdown against the Jags, it seems. The last 2 years, I think he's gotten 4. It's been unreal. So right off the bat, I got to lock in the Titans because they just ride Derrick Henry in this one for all 225 all-purpose yards and 4 touchdowns.
I mean, what we've been able to see out of Derrick Henry this year is absolutely insane. Right now, he has 113 rushing attempts through 4 games. 4 games.
That's more than 25 a game.
And the next closest person we mentioned him before is Joe Mixon with 83. So this guy has literally 30 more, rushes than the next guy in a 4-game, sample size. I love it. And now what I want to mention about the Jaguars as well, with DJ Chark being out for the rest of the year, Laviska Shenault and Marvin Jones both look great so far this year. James Robinson finally got involved last week, but I don't think it's going to be enough. This is not the point in the season where the Jacksonville Jaguars get their first win. Tennessee is a little too familiar with them, like you mentioned, for me to be comfortable enough picking the Jags in this one.
Also, some off the field things happened with the Jaguars. Head coach Urban Myers was caught groping and sitting provocatively with someone who wasn't his wife at his restaurant in Ohio after the game in Cincinnati. Had to apologize to the front office, the team, the fans. No signs of him retiring right now. It looks like he's going to be in there, but that's a big off the field issue that happens the week before another big game against a divisional opponent. Not what you really wanted to see the week leading into this one. So hopefully they're able to get everything into control, both on the field and off the field, and try to figure out a way to win. Maybe not this week, but next week. But that is all the time that we have. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah, thank you always for checking us out. JustSayingFootball.com, Just Saying Football on YouTube, and Just Saying No G WJS on Instagram for all your video and article updates. Thank you and enjoy the Sunday games.
Enjoy.